championship titles, the leading light of Indian chess, and certainly India's greatest and most decorated sportsperson. It's a privilege and honor to welcome on this stage Viswanathan Anand. In conversation with him will be an old ally of the Kolkata Literary Meet, and he spoke at the Excite Kolkata Literary Meet as well. So it would be lovely to welcome Anupam Roy. So before the session, can you both just kind of hold the book and have a small photo op? Lightning Kid, this is Viswanathan Anand's new book. It has tips for youngsters about what he's learned from the chessboard and how to implement those lessons in life. Over to you, Anupam.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Maladi, for the nice introduction, and welcome, Viswanathan Anand.
Thank you, Anupam.
So, here in Kolkata, Kolkata Lit Fest, we are sitting with the man who needs no introduction, and he has brought so much glory to our nation. If Indian chess is a movement today, Vishy Anand was its first sentence. You proved that Indians can beat the Soviets. You single-handedly put India on the chess map. Were you having fun? Tell us about your initial days and how was the ecosystem during that time?
As far as ecosystem goes, it was pretty basic. We had passionate groups of followers in Chennai, here in Kolkata, in Gorki Sadan. In Chennai, in the Soviet Cultural Center, we had a chess club called the Tal Chess Club. And they were committed gang. So I'll get to the bit how the club operated a little later. I was very lucky that I stumbled on chess at home. My mother's a chess player. So when I was 6 years old, there was a chessboard knocking around the house, and I stumbled on it. And I asked my mother to teach me how to play. And she happened to know, she knew the rules, and she used to play chess with her younger brothers and her dad and so on. So she taught me how to play. And this is very significant because when I was 6 years old, you couldn't look these things up. That simply didn't exist. First of all, online didn't exist. Second, I think later on I realized there was one bookshop in Chennai which had one book, but even that level was slightly too high. So I suspect a lot of people, for them, if they try to learn, if they heard about a game called chess on Monday, till Thursday they're looking for anyone who might be able to tell them the rules, and then Friday they give up, it's the majority story. But anyway, that was very important for me. Then, by coincidence, my sister's college happened to be near the Tal Chess Club. So she noticed it one day, came back, told my mother. So then my mother accompanied me to the club and asked, if I could join as a member. They said sure, and of course they told my mother, don't worry, we'll take care of him and all that, because I was, of course, very young. And I started to play tournaments there. There was no formal system of coaching or anything, but every Monday evening, 5:30 to 9:30 was the timings. Every Thursday and every Sunday from 11 till 7 in the evening, I would go to the chess club. It's the same 10 guys. So we would all be playing with each other and all that. And if you went to some tournament, there'll be 20 or 30 young school kids, school age, and so maybe like 100, 150 people who actually read chess books and studied it and played and so on. And so we had a good community. I certainly wouldn't say that I grew up in the wilderness or something as far as chess is concerned, but coaching was an alien concept. So you learned simply by hanging around friends and discussing stuff.
Okay. See, you you talk about very initial days. Now you're going to the state level. Now you're appearing for the country. What was the support system like? What was the government doing? What was things that time?
It was also basic. The government had already recognized chess as a sport, and so at least that matter was settled. This also meant that we got to represent India in the Olympiad, in World Age Group Championships, Junior, Sub-Junior. We would get to travel to the Asian team events, and so on. And a lot of this was ticket support. The sports ministry would pick up the tickets. Once in a while, there'd be one training camp with a Soviet chess player who would come spend a week with us. Mostly he would tell us jokes, but at least we pretended to look at chess, and so on. At the same time, it was all quite bureaucratic when we went to play the Olympiad or something. Before every tournament.
This was which year?
Roughly 83, 84.
Okay.
So whenever we had to go abroad and thing, we would first fly to Delhi. Then one day we would do the rounds. You first go to the sports ministry. They would approve your proposal. Then you take that to commerce and finance. They would approve the foreign exchange. Then I don't even know which minister. You'd come back to sports and they would approve a ticket. Then you'd go to Air India to pick it up. Then it's almost like a routine. At 10 p.m., the only agency which is still open is Thomas Cook. So you'd go there, buy your traveler's checks. Maybe some of you don't know what that is. Then we will, that evening we'd catch the flight and go to whichever tournament we were going to. But I don't look back on that saying, oh, it was, the support was so thing. It did help us.
Was
and
fun.
It was fun. And, all of us a day roaming around Delhi and getting this sanction, getting that sanction. It was kind of adventurous in his own way. And it was helpful. I mean, these are, we did get to compete and so on, but it was basic. I guess they also needed to see that some results were coming before they would increase support for that.
That's right.
These were the days when, P.T. Usha was running, Prakash Padukone, Geetse, roughly that period. And from what I've discussed with them, their experience is also fairly similar. But for instance, for us, things like when laptops appeared, this created a lot of complications because you needed foreign exchange. And then customs always had this question, yes, you can use it for chess, but you can use it for other stuff as well. And so we would get into this thing, yes, but I don't want to use it for anything else. No, but if you can use it for something else, you might sell it on, so we have to charge you duty kind of thing. It was a weird world, but I wouldn't say it was bad. We did get support.
Great. So I had my next question about your mother, that she was your biggest support and she taught you your first moves. The kind of opening you play these days, are they similar to the ones you played as a child?
The opening move is the same.
The king?
I play e4, d4. I mean, there's only 3 or 4 options. But the theory has changed beyond recognition because in between, the computer revolution happened. So laptops, then supercomputers, then now any sort of laptop, and it's getting to the point where any phone, soon maybe any microwave, any washing machine will also beat us. But it's going in that direction, and so a lot has changed between now and then. But to come back to my mother, I have an elder brother and sister, but they're both more than a decade older. So at some point they left, and I became like the only thing. My mother would travel with me to most chess tournaments. I got a lucky break that my father got an assignment in the Philippines with an Asian Development Bank project. So he was working in the railways all his life and so on. And the Philippines had a thing for chess. So they had even a TV show on chess. Unfortunately, because probably they didn't expect anybody very young to watch chess, they put it in the afternoon at 2 o'clock, 2 to 3, or 1 to 2, I've forgotten. And I would be at school. So my mother would watch the program, write down everything they said, and they would give a puzzle at the end. So when I came back from school, after I finished my homework, we would go through the game together, and then we would solve that puzzle together. Then you send the answers in. They check all the correct answers, put them in a box, and they have a drawing of lots. So eventually, I started winning that competition often enough. The prize was you would come on the show the next day, and you could pick up any book from their library for free. So that was a big prize. So a good part of my collection of books is from the Philippines, from that TV show and so on. And of course, she traveled with me everywhere, and till I was 16, 17, she was practically just dedicating herself to me. I think one year when my sister was having a child, then my mother went there, and my dad helped me a couple of times. I think the story's in the book. It's quite funny, but
For the uninitiated, all these stories are a part of this book. If you want to know more about them, please grab this book.
But my dad was totally out to sea. I mean, he kind of he was the disciplinarian, but he didn't really know if that would work with chess and how my moves were. And normally he would defer to my mother, but so we had a very funny experience in the national championship. But anyway, by the end of it, we had gotten used to each other and so on.
Thank you so much. So you were known as the Lightning Kid in the 1980s, and this name was given to you by
A journalist called Kameshwaran, but he was also one of the founding members of the Tal Chess Club, and one of those people who set up many of the things we took for granted a few years later. So he was very much him, Manuel Aaron. They're all colleagues from the '60s, and so the huge impact.
Right. So, and you were famous for your fast, intuitive, and attacking chess. A transition happened. Your game, you started playing differently. At what age was this happening, and what led you to think differently?
First of all, in chess, your style is constantly evolving. Leaving aside meeting interesting people, anything, simply success and failure. What works, you keep. What fails, you either try to understand and modify, or you drop it and you try something else. So your style is evolving. I used to be incredibly fast in the beginning. I was quite impatient or in a hurry to make my move. But once you have missed 10 free points by simply making a blunder in haste, you have enough bad memories to stop you. So my style got a bit slower. At key moments, I would stop and so on. Still, mostly I was impulsive, but it slowly adapted. And the second, you interact with other players and you think, well, I can copy this or that. So that's another factor. But it wasn't in response to training or anything like that. That came much later.
Okay. So at an elite level, 2700 plus ranking, chess is a team sport. That's what I've read and that's what I've heard. So you started all alone. When was this transition happening for you that you decided to have a team for yourself? Did you figure it out or did someone suggest it to you?
A little bit of both. I could see that all the top players had seconds, trainers. And you could see that, first of all, they were much better prepared on average. Imagine that somebody else can do your work while you get some rest. That way you're not tiring yourself out before a game. Second, if that other person is an expert in an area you're not good at, you can take their work, understand it, and play it. That started really once I qualified for the candidates. So till then...
And which year was this?
This was 1990, okay. So when I was 21 years old. And essentially, before that, it was just playing. I played every tournament I got a chance to. Once I became a grandmaster in '87, December '87, life improved a lot because as a grandmaster, one of the few Asian grandmasters, as a world junior champion, I used to get invitations as opposed to having to apply for them. Already, so some good years, but the trainer bit came only when I started playing matches. And at first, I took a colleague from the World Juniors from Sweden. I asked him if he'll join. I did some work like that. Then a mutual friend introduced me to a Ukrainian player who had just immigrated to Belgium, and so I was working with him there. So for my match with Karpov, he was vital because he would give me a lot of insights. For instance, one of the insights that made a big difference on me was he would actually explain Karpov's style to me. And if you think about chess very innocently, you think, well, this is my plan, this is what I want to be doing 3 moves from now, and this is how I'm going to go about it. Very direct. And so this trainer, Gurevich, would explain to me that, in fact, Karpov hardly ever did a plan of his own. He would always see, what is my opponent wanting to do in 3 moves, and try to stop that. And it turned out to be a phenomenal insight because it's a different way of looking at moves and plans. And I found that once I got the hang of it, my play against Karpov improved a lot because I was not looking at my own plan. I was just thinking, what is he going to try and do next, and try to foil that. And I felt, like somebody had taught me the key to cunning or something. It was very nice. But that's what a second does to you, changes your outlook on chess.
Great. So, moving on from chess, what other sports interest you?
Well, when I was young, I would watch cricket, I would watch tennis.
Do you actively play anything else?
My dad was in the railways, so in the railway club, I used to play badminton, tennis, table tennis, all the sports which were available there. But as I started traveling, I found it harder and harder to find places to play and all that, and not always very practical. So I started switching to long walks, which is something very manageable, very controllable, but you can keep it with your time. And so wherever I would travel, I would just go wandering around the city and so on.
Great. So, since I am very much into music, I would like to ask you about what kind of music you listen to. And in this book, I was going through the kind of music you were listening on your Walkman, the Cranberries, Pet Shop Boys. So my question is, during that time, these international bands, they were not very common in India. You are getting to listen to them. What was your special position? What was your privilege? And who was introducing this music to you?
So at some point, it's what my classmates and friends were also listening to. My sister would record songs on the radio and then send them to me, knowing that I would like that. So a lot of 80s music in general.
Your sister was outside India?
She was living in the US.
So that's some influence.
So that was the thing. And so that's, I got used to those songs. A lot of 80s music in general. Queen, U2, Police, all that. And thanks to my mother, I listened to a lot of Tamil music, film music from maybe a little bit of the 60s, 70s, and so on. So those songs are still stuck in my head. And once I started traveling, slowly we started to run into this channel called MTV.
Let's talk about MTV.
Yes, funnily enough, so once they were saying that MTV, because it made singers have to record videos, that it was killing genuine music and...
Video killed the radio star.
Video killed the radio star. It was killing genuinely good songs, and it was rewarding people who would dress smartly or visually and perform well in videos. And recently MTV shut down. So I thought, okay, it's nice.
So you have seen it all.
Nice perspective to be at the end of it as well. But yes, I mean, I was in places, I didn't speak the language, you're both stiff, and you're in the hotel room, you end up watching a lot of music.
That's great. So, while talking about music, in music we really don't have any competition as such. No one remembers if the Beatles were awarded anything. No one remembers what award the Cranberries had got, or Kishore Kumar, or Manna De. No one remembers any award. There are no winners or losers. It's a team game. But in sports, there are winners and losers. And does too much competition kill the love for the sport?
No, sport is defined by competition. I mean, in a sense, Just like music is defined by whatever creativity you bring, or though it's very subjective, very audience driven. Sport is driven by the fact that there's a result at the end. Many chess players, but I imagine many sports people, they think they play the game more beautifully than their rivals, but they think it's somehow unfair that the rival won anyway. So this is it's a very harsh reality of sport. Even in chess, you get used to the idea that you could do 10 good moves, and one move you lose your concentration, you blunder something. The result is a zero. There is no ambiguity, there's no point 1, point 2, it's zero. That's harsh, but then at the same time, it's very meritocratic. When I see artists or writers, I think, well, appreciation for them is very subjective. But for a sports person, you may not like some sports person, you may not even want to look at that person or their performance, but if they win consistently and they go up the rankings, well, you're forced to acknowledge it, right? So that comes with the territory, and I don't think it ties into the nature of it. Which is why most chess players will see chess as a sport, and not art as a bonus. If you can play beautifully, and it's a nice feeling, but you know that you will take an undeserved point because an opponent's blunder any day over a work of art. Just any day.
I think that deserves a round of applause. So, since there are many youngsters who will be reading your book, Lightning Kid, and failure actually make people react very differently, and people behave in an awkward way. So you have dealt with so many failures in your life, and what would be your advice to youngsters to treat how to deal with failures? As simple as that.
I think individual games, things can happen by accident. It's possible that you missed a move that is genuinely difficult to find, but that particular day your opponent finds it. You know that you've experienced other days when you deserve to have lost, but you didn't, and why this one went out. So there's some room for interpretation. But in any sport, any consistent result or pattern, you have to have the discipline. You cannot ignore it. You did not measure up. That's the only conclusion you can take from it. Now you can say it's only that last aspect I failed, but then unless you improve it, you will keep losing at that stage. What's even worse, your opponents will keep coming to that one area that you underperform and keep reminding you. So you'll almost feel them steering the game to that area because they want to take advantage. And as a result, I think in sport you have to just think, you have to face reality, you have to acknowledge it, accept that you didn't get the job done, and you have to work on it and try to improve. And when you try to improve, I mean, it's not enough to work only on the technical aspects. What are the psychological aspects? How did you feel when things went wrong? How do you get past that? I mean, I make it sound very clinical. Of course, we go through all the stages, denial and all that. But eventually, 1 or 2 days after the tournament, reality will hit, and I will say, well, now, if I don't want this to repeat again, and quite often it's tied to an opponent. You will see an opponent's face, and you think, I don't want to see that guy's happy face again, and I'm going to put a stop to this. That's how it works, but you do have to face and improve and try new stuff. And essentially, this is trial by error. Whatever you're not succeeding in, you just keep trying new stuff till something works, because that's sport.
Thank you so much. Next question is about the age pressure. The average age has dropped. In your book, you say that being a GM at 18 years felt so old. Nowadays, you should be a GM at the age of 12. So is that the norm now, and is it killing the spirit of the sport?
First of all, I was the youngest grandmaster in the world when I turned 18. Not the youngest in history. That was Fischer at that time. He had become a grandmaster at 15, but I was the youngest in the world at 18. And then the number of 15-year-olds started to climb, grandmasters at 15. I mean, it was what? Then suddenly, after a couple of years, a 12-year-old popped up who became a grandmaster. And then even that barrier has been broken. I mean, four of them in my academy were grandmasters at the age of 12. And it's tough for them. They become a grandmaster at age 12 and people are saying, oh, but you got it in September. I mean, the other guy got it in March. And, you know, it's, it's not nice. Having said that, I don't think there is something called a spirit of the game. Chess fans 100 years ago enjoyed chess in one way. I think for them to relate to what we were doing even 50 years back would have been, well, people have gotten better, coaching has gotten better, are they killing the spirit of the game? That question is always there. But the thing is, a sport will survive and evolve. And the same thing is happening today. So I see chess players who have much less time for the history of the game, much less time for many of the insights that we got, but they're finding different stuff. And the computer is showing so much new stuff that they can also say, well, but you don't understand all this, and that's a fair criticism. I think it's best to keep an open mind, just go where the study of the game takes you, and it's fun. It's fun trying new things that you're uncomfortable with and pushing your limits. And luckily, the sport has survived quite nicely.
Yes, absolutely.
People are watching it. People are watching it in new and fun ways, and we have solved some problems. 50 years ago, we didn't know how to. We didn't have the graphics and the commentary to explain what is happening in chess. Now, people are able to follow it on their phones in a way that we couldn't follow even for the Fischer-Spassky match.
That's right.
So those are nice developments as well. And I think overall the game is very healthy.
Good. So since we are in Kolkata, let's talk about your friendship with another grandmaster from our city, Dibyendu Borua.
Yes. So Dibyendu is a few years older than me, and he had also broken into. I think beaten Koch now in 1982. At this point, I was still fairly obscure. My breakthrough year was 83. He had already competed in the national championship, and my dream was to compete in one at some point. That happened 2 years later. And we collided in a couple of national junior championships, which is crucial because it's how you qualify to go to the World Junior Championship. And honestly, as I remind him these days, he was a bit of a pain in the neck. He stopped me in 85, he stopped me in 86, and so on. So I like to tease him that he delayed my World Junior title by 2 years. But we were very much neck and neck in the race to become the first Grandmaster. But I got there first in 87. But he played in those tournaments as well. So I played him in Delhi, and then I played him in Coimbatore as well that time. And he then became the second Grandmaster a little bit later.
91, I think.
Yes. And yes, I still see him very often when I come to Kolkata. So I've come for the last 7-8 years to play in the Tata Steel India chess event. And we bump into each other in a lot of situations. And now there are some 3-year-old Calcuttans who are playing very good chess. And he's responsible somehow. I'll ask him exactly how at some point.
Okay, so we are running short of time as now we might open the session for the audience. Audience might have many questions. We can, let's take 2 questions. So before the mic comes, actually, I would like to, Vishy, I would like to ask one question before the person gets the mic. So this one's a personal one. I didn't want to lose out on this. So one of my favorite chess players is Mikhail Tal. And I love the way he makes the sacrifices. I find it very romantic. You actually played with Mikhail Tal. Would you like to share some moments with him?
Well, he was my childhood hero as well. And so I was very happy to join the Tal Chess Club. But I already was a big fan of his games. And I remember when I went to this library in the Philippines where I could pick a book, I would often pick his books and bring them back. So that's something we have in common. it's difficult in the computer era to explain to someone just how impressed we were with Tal. I mean, we would spend hours trying to refute what he was doing, and we couldn't. And like, but this is magic. He's breaking all the rules, but we can't prove it's wrong. Now the computer does it in seconds, but that's not fair to subject him to that. He was of his time, and you have to enjoy that in that way, I think. But I liked him a lot. He was a genuinely kind person. He often had a lot of time for chess fans and young players. I would ask him questions. I mean, more just to ask him questions, and he would patiently give me explanations, always ready to play and so on. And I've never met a person who had an unkind word about him. Unfortunately, health-wise, he burnt his candle at both ends, and he passed away very early. But okay, sometimes genius, that's what they do.
Okay, now for the questions.
Nice to hear you, Vishy. I'm a big fan of yours, and I'm from the branch of economics. So I'm a bit curious to correlate between the ability to play chess and problem solving in mathematics. So I just want to know how good you were in your mathematics in your school days.
I was like top 3 till maybe 8th standard. Hang on, and then I was passing my exams. I mean, because I was playing a lot of chess. I think chess improves your ability to solve math problems because the way of thinking is quite similar. I think the opposite is true as well. But in both cases, I think 2 hours a week of chess will help your math. 10 hours a week of chess will help your chess. So I think that's the way you have to see it. I think for economics as well, it's fairly mathematical, and you do have to. But also chess correlates well with languages. There are some chess players who are not mathematical at all, but they're slightly more on the intuitive side, but they can pick up languages easily. Some others are artistic. So I'm skeptical or unaware of what you can connect chess directly to.
Next question, please.
Hello, Vishy. Absolute honor to listen to the discussion. Nowadays, we have so much analysis of chess games on the social media about your games with various players and others. How do you look at them? Like, do you look at them and see, oh, they have got it all wrong? Or, okay, this one is okay, that one's not so great. How do you look at them when you listen to them? Or do you follow the analysis that goes on in the social media about all the games with every move-by-move analysis that you make? And when you do the queen sacrifice, that was an excellent sacrifice and won in the game, this kind of thing.
Usually, the people putting the analysis out are also using strong engines. And since that's the best and most accurate analysis, I wouldn't say it's wrong, but I have probably reached the same solution on my phone or my computer, so it's not a surprise to me. In some cases, they're targeting a broader audience, so then I understand that they're explaining things at a simpler level, and that's fine. You know, I don't look to it. I sort of keep an eye out, but I don't get too close because you'll get too many different opinions, and you know, I'm able to analyze the game for myself and remember how I thought and so on. But it's in a way it's good that it's become so easy to connect to chess, and I think that's been very good for the game, and it shows in the kind of tournaments we have and so on. Sorry? Yes, you.
We can move on to
right
the
conclusion is worth anything. Yeah.
Let's move on to the next question.
Okay, maybe this gentleman here in the second row.
Vishy,
She got the mic, actually.
Okay.
Vishy Anand, thank you so much for your thoughts. I just want to know, you were GM number 1. Today in India, we have 90. Do you think the 100 number is close by? And what are your thoughts on the state of chess in our beautiful country?
Actually, it's 92 now, so it's kind of crazy that that is the case, and 70 of them are from the last 15 years. So 2010 and later is 70. I would be surprised if we didn't get to 100 within a year and a half, latest maybe 2 years. But there's still a lot of scope for the game to grow. First of all, we're a very large country. In some pockets, we are very strong. But equally, there are lots of parts of the country where chess has not really penetrated people's attention. This is also true of many sports. I mean, many sports are played in one or two areas. So I hopefully it'll get more popular, and we'll hold on to our good situation. We are one of the leading nations right now, or at least one of the most competitive nations right now, because these things change, I think. And hopefully that continues.
Thank you.
Next, please.
Yeah, I think he already got the mic.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Vishy, for your time today. You talked about this intense competition that's prevailing around the chess world. And we have seen simultaneously with the proliferation of social media that, think of Kramnik accusing so many people of cheating. Naroditsky died. We don't know how. How do we repair this damage? And would this kind of an environment not be a discouragement to the very young players coming up?
I like to say that nothing really changes. And so sometimes we talk about the distractions of today's devices. But then I would have to be honest and say, well, as a kid also I was distracted, except it was maybe the VCR instead of this and that. So there is something. But I think there is one qualitative difference right now. It even predates social media. It's the anonymity you have on the internet. So I've noticed that people's comments, it used to be at the end of websites, at the bottom they would have a reader's column, and later on it migrated here and there, is that knowing that people don't know who you are. I mean, they have your name, but they don't really know who you are. You express everything much more strongly, and that is a definite evil that social media has introduced. It wasn't like that before. When you had to get up, say your name, and then criticize someone, you were more reasonable, and that has changed. It's not unique to chess, so I don't particularly, but it's something we'll have to cope with, just like, yeah, it's not a Kramnik that I particularly recognize either. He was much less, how shall I put it, obsessed with this sort of thing. Now he seems to be almost on a crusade. But okay, he feels strongly about it. I mean, you have to see that. And it's a pity that he didn't use his words more moderately, because it could have affected Naroditsky. I mean, you can't prove these things, but there it is. Yeah, like again, there's not much I can say, but you feel uncomfortable nonetheless.
Okay, I think we are running really short of time, and we might not take any more questions, but thank you so much for your participation. A big round of applause for the Vishy Anand. Indian chess is forever indebted to you and your family. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much.